live. Okay. Well, let's just get her going then. You ready?
Am I? I mean, I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
You're the one who's the tired one.
I know. I said I'm ready
still
to go.
amped.
I said I am ready to go.
All right, let's do it. You ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ooh. No, I'm not even going to try. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Apex the Podcast. It is the final episode of this split 1 year for LAN. Right now, we have Donny with me. Donny, say what's up.
What's going on?
And then I also have Finicki with me.
The guest.
Finn. Special guest, Finicki.
The guest.
He's
yes.
just a guest. He's just a guest. Finicki, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
We are here, and we just finished finals, and it was absolutely incredible. The entire weekend was awesome. Lots of people I know who didn't really pay attention to ALGS too much before this weekend came here now and are fully locked on this sport moving forward, and I think that's the beauty of what we have going here. I'm going to be honest. We're all dead tired from this last 4 days of absolute nightmarish fun, and my voice is on the verge of being done. You can probably tell. It is so close to being over for me, but we have a lot to talk about here. Let's kick it off with our winner for the first time ever in a LAN. We do not have Dark Zero or TSM as the winner. Our winner, Reject Winity, they come away with the victory. That is APAC North, right?
Yeah,
APAC
it's
North.
probably
South Korea.
Karan P.
And saying June.
And saying June.
Yes. So for the first time ever, we have a
Karan P.
LAN winner from a different region, APAC North. We have a LAN winner that isn't those two teams that I just mentioned before, and it was just awesome to see. Because I think, obviously, for us, we're all NA guys, right? So we know more NA than we do anything else. We want to see those teams kind of win because each team has its own weird storyline that we want to follow. But we forget that for this sport to be able to grow and to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, other regions do have to win because
100%.
Those regions have a ton of fans. And what do you think that they feel when it's just consistently North America over and over and over again? So selfishly, I think we all wanted NA.
Yeah.
But this is great for the sport, and I think this is something that the sport needed. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would rather it have been a North American team for sure if it wasn't going to be TSM or DZ, but that is just my bias of where I live and being friends with most of the, being friends with people that are in NA that we're playing today. So I think overall, like you said, it is good. I think it kind of showcases that other regions are catching up. It also, there is a little bit of, like, in my head that I think that some of this has to do with the Legend meta as well and, like, the changes of Season 19, Season 20, and how that has affected the landscape of the game. So I think in some regards it made it where a bit easier to be on the same playing field. I was actually discussing this with my boss at work, but essentially what I feel like with like the meta and kind of giving so many tools to everybody, it reminds me of now, this is probably a weird comparison, but James Holtzire, do you know who that is?
No.
Do you know who that is?
I can't say I do.
Okay, he's like the super brainiac guy that was on Jeopardy, and he won the most money for Jeopardy for, I don't know, he was on it for like a month and a half straight, right?
Yes.
They didn't, in order for him to lose, they made the questions easier for everybody. So instead of making it harder, they made it easier and more accessible for everybody. And I think there might be a little bit of that. Now that sounds like I'm very hardcore. Just
Sounds like you're hating.
I am. I'm now quickly realizing that I sound like I am just really discrediting that win. So I'm gonna take back some of that. But I do think in some regard, the meta, the way the games has shifted, the EVA armor changes, stuff like that has influenced other regions to be able to catch up to NA.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I went on a tangent there, but I do think that that's
Hey,
was
we're
my
always here for the
overall,
fun tangents. I wouldn't worry
overall
about it.
opinion there.
Listen, so the thing about Reject Winity 2 is Donnie here to my right had been talking all week long about how it seems like they were never on the broadcast, but they were always in the mix somehow. They were always like around the top. And,
Yeah.
and when you go through the group stage, you see that they ended 5th in points. Then you go to, winners won. I think they were 2nd or 3rd. Then you come over to, the championship day and they were first. Like they were always around the top. And if you're only paying attention to NA, it was easy to kind of forget that they were there.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like they were always in end games and always winning fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, again, it's amazing to see, because at the end of the day, it's Apex Legends Global Series. So, seeing these other teams, and just even coming in today, our top 10 was so widespread out of who was starting with advanced points. Again, I think it only grows the sport. You see so many other esports where, these other cultures, the APAC areas are so huge with their fans and with the talent levels that they have. And, yeah, I mean, they caught my eye on Friday, really. And just like you said, like they were always in those end games. They were always top 5s. And again, like it really comes down to it. The teams that end up winning match point series are those teams that find that right spot in the zone at the right time, not getting there too early, not getting there too late.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like they always, were doing that. And to Finn's point about the meta and everything, as much talk as everybody talked about when season 20 dropped with Caustic, they went without a Caustic.
They went with Watson.
They go with Watson.
Yeah.
And again, amazing to see these different comps, I think,
Dude,
be used
the crazy
entire
thing.
time.
The crazy thing is in those end games with them and Watson, like Watson, I can understand why people don't want to run it for like those early and middle portions of the game. But late game, Watson is oppressive as hell. The fact that you can't really move anybody off of a spot with any sort of grenade or anything. They can kind of just hold it wherever they want. As long as they have a spot to put the pylon, then you're good. And then you can cut off certain angles with the fence. Like you can take a rock and turn it into a fortress if you really want to. And if you can do it in a way that your pylon doesn't take a hit. And now with the perks, you can get 2 pylons as long as you're carrying enough of the ultimate accelerants. So it's like you get the option. And then if you choose the other one where it's a bigger pylon, then you just have, doesn't it have more HP? Does it not?
There is one, I believe. Yeah,
It's
that's
double
a longer.
the HP.
Yeah, it's a longer HP.
So like they were running the Watson and making it work for them.
Yeah, and with so many teams too, like like you said, running the caustics, you really see like in these team fights or they get to buildings, like there's certain ways you play caustic. I feel like with Watson too, there's only certain ways, but you have to be so good as the Watson, getting the gens down, getting the fences down, like. There's just a different mindset when it comes to having that character when it's the only one being played and you have everybody else playing caustic where, if all else fails, you throw a caustic ult and you're taking damage right away. Whereas the Watson, you don't have that ability that is going to take damage right away.
No.
And it really takes a special skill to be able to use a Watson and exceed at such a high level. And in these types of lobbies when everything has been about kills and edge play and all this other stuff. Whereas, again, they definitely, they got their kills, but at the same time, like their ability to control space, find the middle zones at the right time was just, it's just an amazing, consistent performance.
They were consistent all the way through. They didn't have to make some crazy losers bracket run. They didn't have, they were just cruising from start to finish. Group stage, you're 5th in points. Winners, you're 2nd overall. Land your first. Like if you're just watching NA, you don't pick up on it. But that's just a clean run. It's just an absolute clean run. And the funniest part is they're doing this against arguably one of the biggest monsters we've seen with Dark Zero. Dark Zero doubles up in points. They break records for how many points you get in the group stage. Then they have like all the amount of kills they had from one team to the next was like 30 plus. They have all this stuff going on, and that's where everybody's eyes were looking at. They're like, "Oh, Dark Zero, this is why they're so good." And then you're forgetting that there's a team sitting right there who's been right behind them the whole time. And in a match point format, you have to watch for those teams because they can end up taking the trophy from you. And it was very impressive to watch. So shout out to Reject Winity for winning. Really awesome to see. Speaking of Dark Zero a little bit, because I just mentioned them and the run that they just had.
I'm looking at
I'm trying to think of how to phrase this.
Reject.
I'm trying to think of how to phrase this question, but
In my opinion, sorry, can I add on to what you guys have
yeah,
said?
go ahead.
They only had 3 like good games. Rejected.
Yeah.
To remember that they had an extra 10 points going into today, and then they had their game 2. Whenever they won, it was very clean, and then it wasn't until game 5 that they had another banger game that allowed them to get. They got match point on that game on round 5, and then obviously they win in game 8. So like there was opening for other teams to win.
Yeah.
But I think them being on match point format earlier, I think people forgot that they were on match point format once that last game hit, whenever there was like 7 or 8. So I think they got focused less. Also, well, anyway, that was my final thoughts on that.
Yeah, well,
Sorry.
No, that's fine. And to go off of that though, they did earn the points though. Like getting the points, like they did earn them because they got them through the winners, right? Being able to qualify through. So they did earn themselves those points, and also they were the second team to get match point format. So they didn't have great games, but a lot of the lobby wasn't either. Because they were just the first team was Dark Zero. And I think, did they get it the same game?
Are you talking about
was it
DZ and who? Wait,
DZ and Reject?
let me see. I can tell you. They did. They both got
They
on.
got the same
I
game.
They
thought
both got
so.
on map 5 because they both did well. And I remember somebody. I think they were in front of us. They were like, they weren't completely sure with the match point format, and they were like, wait. Because they both got it at the same time. They were like, wait, can they win the game right now?
No, yeah.
remember
I think that was the
person
design
asking.
clutch
Yeah.
game. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so
Oh yeah, because Sykes was the solo that
Yep.
got them more points,
Yep.
and then Reject was the one that lost that
But yeah, that was
33.
Yeah, they both got it at the same time. So then, yeah, okay. We'll continue on. Sorry, I don't know
No,
where were you taking it.
no, I was gonna go over to Dark Zero because I feel like it would be disrespectful to not mention their run. It was a great run. Obviously, a lot of records broken. I think most people thought that this was going to be the winner, and for a while there, it looked like they were going to be the winner. When we get to the later games, there was a play that just completely changed the trajectory of the future of the Apex esport from Koifel with a grenade, changed everything. But we've seen that happen a bunch of times.
I think it was not just Koifel, if I'm honest. So that you're talking about Game 7.
Yeah.
So DZ found themselves. First off, they played that. Their macro was and their
Incredible.
macro this game or this. Like, I low-key think it was better than... I know they didn't win the tournament, but their macro, I think Zero's the best macro IGL in the game right now.
He was
It is
finding raps
Dude,
all the time.
it was disgusting.
Raps that he had no business getting
They
to.
didn't. They had... Dude, I don't know how he saw it, but essentially what we were talking about is an overlook zone. And he took them from... They were at Top Glacier, which is like in between Epicenter and Monument.
Well,
they
real quick, starting back, they land trials.
Right.
And
They're
Scott-
so far away.
On the opposite side of the
legitimately
entire map.
the opposite
Yes.
side of the map. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they found themselves, they did their normal rotation going from, well, I guess they wrapped up and around, went towards the would be a redeploy, but instead they played the Icicles, top Icicles, took the zip over. They stayed there. Aurora was around, just hanging around.
Yeah.
They eventually move over. I don't think they take the zip line across. I think they just walk up to where the cement was, but there was like 2 or 3 teams. There was definitely a team down in tunnel. There was a team playing top cement. They rotate past them and go into that little dividend in between it. Then after that, there was nobody playing the tri lane, which is the new added area for World's Edge that led to Overlook. And that's like a really good spot. by that point, Zero had a Kraber as well. So like they were starting to play pretty aggressive on the team that was on the far east side towards like the caves. Anyway, that's one of the better power spots for that zone, and that he knew it, and he was like, wait, there's no one playing there. Why would we not go and play there? So then, dude, he took his team from so far away into that. So I just wanted to give him credit. And that Game 7, he did talk about it, but he said it was his fault. But, I mean, it's crazy that just being out in the open and overextended for 1 second can lose you a tournament.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Because if that doesn't happen, we're not talking about reject. We're talking about Dark Zero winning again.
And
that's how close it was.
Yeah.
It was actually that close. Like it's weird to not start off the show that way, but you have to give the flowers to the winner no matter what.
For sure.
But it was literally like a moment away from Dark Zero being the champion again.
For sure.
That game was the difference.
Yeah, and just to add on to Finn's point too with his macro. I mean, again, just the unbelievable spots and rotates that they're going throughout this whole tournament were insane. But to add on to that, the team that they go push off of that spot is TSM, who was in that spot the whole time, knew it was going to end there. He cuts down middle zone because he realizes no one's paying attention and everybody's fighting back to where the zip line leads down into the tunnel. And he's like, hey, we need to go take that spot. Darts down the middle of zone, which again, only other time I really remember a team doing that is TSM when they go win the champs last year to go get that spot on Storm Point. But yeah, just the ability to recognize spots, get to where they need to be. And again, like you said, just 1 second away. I really just think that he just did not realize the terrain of how far he got from his teammates. And I think just by the time that, he gets the crack on the solo, you definitely want to try to clear him out when he got him that low. But then by the time he realized he gets away because, he Bangalore smokes and runs away, he didn't realize where he was. I think that's really what it was. And like you said, it's just the split second decisions that, it's going to happen to anybody. It's a fast paced sport, esport. It happens.
Yeah. So it was, I do want to shout out DZ. It feels so weird for them not to be winning this because of how dominant they were throughout the entire tournament. But they do come in second. I mean, it's not like, because I was thinking yesterday, I was like, dude, what if DZ just gets like 16th?
Yeah.
Like, would you say that was the biggest, fucking blow up of all time? But they get second. Like they were once again, they were like a second off. So you really can't say anything negative about it. They gave it their all. They were just basically one grenade away from.
No, not even that, dude. Either like a headshot, Nasky losing a fight to Naughty. Like, there's a lot of different things.
True.
Like,
A lot of
like
things.
Nasky is the reason why DZ didn't win, which is weird to think about.
Yeah.
But like, because I know I say that Koifel and them could have still won the game. That's not necessarily what I'm saying. But they would have had to play. They would have had to do a full 3-on-3 in that scenario, plus having to worry about Disguise, who was underneath that and eventually died. But like DZ, that was DZ's game to win 100 billion trillion %. They're going to win that 9 times out of 10. I think he was just overcooking, bro.
Yeah.
I think he wanted a montage play, low key. I think in my head, but which is fine. I mean, like you do you, but if he gets a headshot on Nasky, then it's like think about that. Then it's just so much different. But
he probably doesn't want a montage play. He's probably just really worried about the rat in that situation.
Well, he's just wanting to clear the backside of his own because he knows everybody else is in front of him if he clears out the solo. But I mean, again, I think that. The other thing I'll say just about DZ and then finishing second is I think we've seen a few times at other lands, which again, this is no shot at reject by any means, but there's been arguments that the team that's finished second was the best team that played.
Right.
Furia with Watson, that entire land was insane. And I remember when Kangarna even won all the way back, a lot of people
Technically
argued.
not a land, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Just the championships in general. But Cloud9 played amazingly that entire tournament. And got the most points of that tournament.
There was that one match where they're on match point. I think they got second on the train tracks. They end up losing that game, and that could have changed. Think about the trajectory of that changing the career for Zach Mazer, Naughty, and who was it? Noct.
And Knocked.
Because then we had Justice for Noct right after that.
Yeah.
And we had them not doing shit after that season.
Yeah.
Zach had to basically configure himself, and then
Yeah.
Naughty had like multiple seasons where he wasn't making lands, and now he's back.
Yeah.
Not get your fucking nines up, but yeah. So it was a crazy ride.
I don't. So were you trying to say? I don't know if you're saying like did you think DZ was the better team in this regard, or you feel like
Oh yeah, to finish that point, yeah, I just think that there's definitely an argument where kind of like what you're saying, like he was IGLing the best of anybody. Their macro is amazing. I mean, again, I think the argument could be made that again, definitely respect Reject consistency through everything, but there's definitely an argument that DZ was still the best team.
there's an argument, but I think Reject was. I mean, I think they were the better team, but I don't think it was by a lot.
Yeah,
If it was better, it was by a hair.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't by because the entire tournament too. You look at what I was talking about, how Reject was kind of always in the shadows waiting. DZ was the person carrying everything throughout that entire situation.
yeah,
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think they were 1A, 1B.
1A.
Yeah.
That's a great way to say
for sure.
it.
Stuff like that.
Let's move off of the winner DZ and let's move into some of the early games and some of those storylines in the beginning. I think the first one is the fact that there was no leader who took like a massive lead in points early on, which from being in the building, it made it a lot more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, I was reading chat. I'm gonna need
No,
you.
you're all good.
Sorry, say that one more time.
I was just basically saying there was no like leader who was so far ahead that it was like
Right,
okay.
it wasn't like okay, like imagine DZ won 2 games in a row, then you're just kind of like okay, here we go again type of deal. It wasn't really like that. I'm trying VP like Virtus Pro. I mean, we can slide into that point, but like that first game was an absolute banger. Like it was down on south side of Pylon. VP was playing on that like more towards Barometer, and then we had DZ playing more towards what was that, Coastal Camp? I think like more on the right side where the Humvees are. Usually where LG or old LG, now Liquid, usually play as like a baseline, and then Cloud9 was playing down low, like underneath Pylon in those 3 buildings, and it was like a 3 show off, the 3-man thing, and then DZ aped C9, C9 won. Virtus Pro had like the easiest, like freest
Probably a
thing.
50 HP.
Yeah.
kill.
So, but I mean, they started off hot, and I was like, okay, VP looks pretty good. I think that initially made them like second place or first place. I was like, okay, Virtus Pro is pretty legit. Like,
yeah.
they might be sticking around here. We might see a nice little run coming from them.
I thought the same. And then they somehow just get 12th. Like they just never came back from that ever.
Yeah, I don't. They looks like they only had one good game again, and that was round 6. But besides that, it looks like they couldn't get out of their own way. Well, like usually around if a team's like placing around 10th place or higher, usually around 10th place. Excuse me, like say like a 8th place or 8th place through 12th place in a higher tier pro lobby. It usually means like when round 4 was closing into round 5, that's whenever they died.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not necessarily because they played bad, they had bad macro, stuff like that. Sometimes that's just like you, unfortunately, due to the ring pool, you had a really bad zone, and that causes bad rotos. Like, and then you're gonna get caught out. You may have lost a fight, all kinds of stuff. So I can't speak too much on VP as to why they were losing, but that's usually what happens whenever you see teams that are they die in 8th place through like 12th to 13th, and that's usually ring 4 close into ring 5 because that's whenever a lot of teams die. There's very limited spaces, most zones and stuff like that. So,
So VP had one good game. Let's talk about a team who didn't have a single good game. TSM.
dude,
What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy, right?
It's not even just crazy. It's like baffling because I forgot they were in the tournament. And in game 7, I look up at the screen. I'm like, oh, wait, TSM is in this? I forgot they were in the... They did not get shown on the main screen. And I know earlier in the week, I had said, why is LG not being shown? Because they were actually making late games.
Yeah.
TSM was just not around ever. It just felt like anytime they fought, it was off camera. And whether they won or lost...
Every time, bro.
Like
Yeah.
they where were I don't know what happened.
Yeah, for those that were at home and are listening or watching this, on the main broad, there was not that much TSM.
There was almost none.
Yeah, there was like almost none, and a lot of that, I think, in my opinion, was because they were either dead or they had just lost a fight, and you see one person running away. Like I can remember Reps running away. I'm pretty sure I remember Evan running away as well. Like they just, I don't know if what kind of early fights they were taking, but they seem to have lost them, and I don't know if that's bad macro because again, I'm gonna have to. Some of this stuff, I just have to watch their VOD to be like, okay, they had a really bad like roto, like they were late 15 seconds on their normal roto, into okay, this team was ready and prepared for that rotation. They cut them off, they killed them, or like they like threw them off into another rotation. I mean, like I don't know the exact reason, but what I do know is they were dying, which is something that we are not used to seeing a TSM in a finals flop that hard.
It was the worst
at
flop.
all.
Well, and like you said, just not even being talked about. I mean, I know one of the things I noticed, especially on Stormpoint, maybe a little bit reason why they weren't being talked about as much is because a lot of the zones did pull away from their POI, which again isn't really an excuse for why they did bad. But like, it just seemed like in the past, you think about like, the fight against Disguise when they won champs, and so many other times where they've won, these big lands or placed well. They always win those one or two fights that put them in God spot or put them in that amazing spot. And it just felt like they never had that fight today that put them in that spot to win.
It wasn't even just today. I remember when we first got here and we come home on, I think it was Friday, and we're sitting there and I was just like, dude, does it feel like TSM's team fighting is off?
Yeah.
And then I asked Jayhawk too, and I was like, Jay, does it like... It feels like they're not fighting together very well. And he was like, yeah, but also it's the group stage. And yeah, but also, that's what people were saying last time. And then they ended up winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
And this time, it never got better. It just like their fights were just like so odd, weird. Like you said, players running away. At one point, they were using the lifeline. That was also probably because they had like a major points lead. That might have not been because of
You're talking
fighting.
about earlier. I don't think they ever played Lifeline during.
Not today. It was
Yesterday. You're
yesterday.
talking about yesterday.
Yeah,
Just
they had the
whole tournament in
lifeline.
general.
Yeah, they had the lifeline yesterday. Only I think. Was it only
That was the
yesterday?
only time that they used Lifeline.
Yeah.
Was yesterday. Yeah.
So they were like it's just their fights were just not clean. They just weren't good.
Yeah, I just I don't know. Like I just felt like it was, again, obviously it wasn't like normal TSM, but it's just really weird seeing Evan, when he's so good on these characters like the Horizons and things like that, the Valks that have this movement, take angles in fights, and he's now on these anchor type characters. I know Connor, the editor, has mentioned that like him being the anchor just seems very off for this team. And again, I'm not saying obviously he can't do it because again, Verholst is literally one of the best controller players in the world. But it just seems really weird that a guy that has that much potential fragging out is not sometimes on those movement type characters. And I know it, like we can say whatever about the meta and things like that because I know obviously Horizon was as meta, but still, when you see something that works so well, why change it? Mm-hmm. Especially with TSM, it's like TSM doesn't need to be the one that follows the meta. Half the time, TSM is creating the meta.
It's true. I mean, yeah, I get that. I think they're just in bad form.
Yeah.
I mean, this leads. I mean, say what you want about international scrims, but if you're somewhat inconsistent in international scrims, that doesn't necessarily, like, some people take that with a grain of salt, but I mean, and we have seen TSM not do good in international scrims and then go to a lane and absolutely dominate. So it's weird though. We usually find TSM like what Jay was saying to you, Wyatt, but it's like they usually find their footing right around like winner's final, and then like even if they get dropped into lowers, they like turn it on and then they're back, and then
just never
and
did.
then they just keep they ride that MO, but I don't know. It's weird they didn't find their footing, and
I mean, they won one game this whole weekend. When's the last time that's ever happened?
Yeah, that was weird. It's weird that they didn't either. But okay, I'm saying all this to now like take a step back to think, okay, this happened to DZ as well.
True.
Like DZ didn't make a finals last land, so I mean, this can be a flop. Like they're allowed to have a bad land.
100%.
But what I am wondering is why they had a bad land, and maybe we can get that in the coming days of just like doing some VOD review and hearing their comms. And
there's also tweets that were coming out that have since been deleted. But there were tweets coming out basically saying that the roster shakeup coming into Split 2 is going to like massively blow up the way that we look at the Apex scene. And oddly enough, the deleted tweet makes me think that it's even more real.
Yeah.
You know? But basically, I think my mic thing keeps cutting out. Basically, I think it was Fallout who tweeted it and said that Hal and TSM are like parting ways. I don't know if it was Hal and TSM or just the roster that he has right now are parting ways. And there's a lot of speculation about it. Fallout deleted the tweet and then replaced that tweet basically just saying like the roster shakeup is going to be absolutely insane before Split 2, which it always is somewhat insane. But for him to tweet that out and then delete it makes me think that there was like, hey, you can't say that right now. Wait it out. It makes me think that TSM may no longer
it might actually have legs.
It might actually have legs, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just give like my opinion. You know, I just think that I don't see those three splitting up. You know, again, there might be a world that exists, but I think at least for now, you know, that is a group of, you know, players that are about the grind and about what do we need to do to get it better? What do we need? I mean, we saw Verhulst on the Catalyst grinding that every single day in ranked, you know, in pubs, whatever, to get better at it. You know, Hal, I mean, no question about his grind to the game and how he's always wanting to consistently be the best. And Reps is just the quiet guy that always is there who you know, in the spot he needs to be in, prepares. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that switched roles. I mean, he might have played every single character in comp by now, maybe outside of like a ballistic at this point, but like it's incredible, you know, what that group's done in the past. And I think that we need to, you know, I think most people need to give them a chance to bounce back and figure it out.
You can have a bad tourney.
Yeah.
But my thing is, if that is true, if it does have legs, maybe that did have an influence on maybe their performance. If they knew that this was a thing going into the team as a whole, maybe that does have some sort of influence on their behavior in the game. You don't think so?
No, I agree with you, but also like if that's the case, right? If the case is there's going to be turmoil because they're going to be splitting ways, I definitely 100% think you're correct that would cause you to not play as well. My issue is like, let's say, for instance, what we think is happening, and let's just use the context clues at hand.
Okay.
Apex Legends is entering into the Esports World Cup, which is owned by Saudi, right?
Yeah, it's like Saudi group.
It's a Saudi group. Saudi has a lot of money. They don't just buy things in, you know, esports. They buy things everywhere. Like Ronaldo.
I mean, literally funded a golf league.
Yeah, they funded Live Golf and then bought a lot of golfers. Phil Mickelson was one of the bigger names there. They're just throwing money. How much did they give him? Like 500 million.
I don't know, a lot of money.
It was
all
a
the numbers have been
crazy
insane.
number.
And not just that, but also in like soccer or football.
Soccer,
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo plays in the Saudi league,
Exactly.
right? And Ronaldo is one of the best players right now. He's not as good as Messi, but he's one of the best players. So, and historically, he's not as good as Messi either.
And it wasn't even just Ronaldo. There was a mass exodus of players.
Right,
A lot of players
yeah,
that
exactly.
they bought. So there's that. Apex enters into that, and then all of a sudden, Hal is, you know, a part of. He would probably be the main part of the Apex World Cup.
No question.
Or I mean, Esports World Cup, the Apex side of it.
He was on the Las Vegas Sphere for those who didn't see that.
Yeah,
So.
he was on the fucking Sphere, so which is crazy. But everybody's saying, oh, he's getting Saudi money, and now they get to just pick their team. The part that doesn't make sense to me is why would you not just pick the exact same team that you have unless one of those players is like, no, I don't want to take that money. That's the only way it makes sense to me. Anything else doesn't make any sense, because it's not like he is a player that is like, oh my God, he's so good, I just wish he had a better roster. He's won with these guys multiple times. It just doesn't make sense to replace the setting outside of that. It just doesn't.
Yeah, and I think the best thing for now, and I think obviously like you guys would agree, is that let speculation on Twitter be speculation on Twitter.
Yeah.
And really let these guys, I mean, the biggest thing is, decompressing from this, because you talk about being on the grind for how many weeks now, playing Pro League, doing scrims, especially when the scrims were at like 4 or 5 in the morning or whatever they were.
Yeah, especially for a lot of these teams that are not North American.
Correct.
Like,
I mean, just, and just the insane amount of time that gets put into this, because, I mean, and how especially subbing in on, how many different teams filling in for scrims. I mean, I felt like he was in a scrim block twice a day, every single day at times.
Yeah, all these guys need to decompress, no lie.
Yeah.
They probably need to literally go on a vacation, right? Like, they should be going from this to a vacay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I know I need probably about a 48-hour nap after just watching the whole thing versus even preparing for this. But, yeah, I think just like I said, just somebody I was kind of saying on that, I think just, allow these guys to take the break they need mentally, allow them to figure these things out for themselves, and try not to speculate too much, but I think a lot of the points that you made were spot on. And it would be shocking to see that roster split up given everything, but we'll see.
I would have never taken it seriously if the tweet wasn't deleted and then replaced by the other tweet, because that to me says like, okay, I have this info, I want to get it out there, but maybe I tweeted it out too early. They told me this info can't get out here yet, so now I'm just going to replace it with this info.
And I think it's just from the source and the stature of the source. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
so.
That's the only thing I'm saying. And, it was a weird time to get that tweet out there is, like you were saying, you got to let people decompress a little bit. It's just a weird time to throw that tweet out. It literally just ended. It ended like right now.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that, Connor.
Okay.
Did you have anything to add to what I said about TSM?
No. I think right now, well, first off, I don't really want to speak too much on it, just from the position that I'm in, but also just like, I'm just gonna let the actual information come out whenever it needs to come out, and then from there, that you guys can come up with your own responses and have your own opinions and form all that. But for right now, I don't know if it's best for everybody to be talking about it. So, but that being said, it will probably be talked about. Unfortunately,
it's going to be
for those guys that are like, good luck to their chat. Like whenever they get back for start streaming, like it's just gonna suck. So
it was just a bad time to tweet that out. Probably should have been a couple weeks back. We might have to cut this out from the actual like audio podcast, just because I don't want to add fire to that flame.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying.
Like for this live stream, it's fine because it's like all speculative. But as far as the actual like audio version, I might just end up cutting that just so that they don't have to deal with all that fresh off of a season.
Right.
Fresh off of a whole season.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on. I wanted to go after that. The next thing that came to mind for me was E8 and 07. E8.
Bro, this was probably, in my opinion, the story of the grand finals.
It
to
was.
Me. Like,
I think it was too, other than Reject winning it. E8, we hyped up very heavily yesterday.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about E8, how great they were, and how cool it's been for Zach to get, Zach and all the boys, but mostly Zach just for his IGL style, to get to this final Sunday, this redemption arc that he's been going on. We get to it, and then they start off with a contest with 07 at, what was it?
Bro, I do not know. It's not Pylon. No, I don't think it's definitely not Cena, and it's not Zeus. And it's not Zeus. It's let me look. It's right in the middle of the map. Goodness gracious. Storm.
It's late, guys, so don't give us too much flack.
It is brand new. Hold on.
What is it?
I know. I should know.
Cito? Cedo
the
Station?
Cedo Station, I think it is.
Is Cedo Station?
I'm pretty sure it's called Cedo Station.
Check it.
I know.
Make
Hold
sure.
on.
It's Cedo
Yeah,
Station?
it's
Okay,
usually-
Connor gave us the
It's really embarrassing that I don't know
it's
that.
Cedo Station. It sounds like C-Note. I always almost want to call it C-Note, but it's Cedo.
Yeah.
It fucks me up every time.
Yeah.
But they go to Cedo Station. That is where they contest. First game, 07 comes away with the win. Nasky and the boys, they carry it out. Okay.
One of the
cool.
this is the only con that happens the whole grand finals too.
Yeah.
Like that was the only con the whole time.
So
Correct.
that happens, they lose. All right. Next game, same thing. That happens, they lose. Then game 3, once again, the boys at EA, I don't know, it wasn't a contest. They just died early. Like they just didn't.
One of those, I'm pretty sure, one of the Aurora boys or the Alliance.
So first game, they finish the contest. 2 rats, 1 controller. Comes in,
Yeah.
thirds it, cleans it up.
But that's because that fight took forever. That stalled for
I might have been
literally
able
2
to
minutes.
run, grab a drink in the 30-person
That's
queue
what
and
I'm
come
saying,
back before
dude.
that fight
It's
was
crazy.
over. But then the second one was when Aurora sends, I think, was it just Hardeki? I thought it was only one person.
It was only one
came
person. It might have
and
been Hardeki.
cleaned that up. But then the third game too, on a different map, somehow E8 and 07 come across
Oh my
pass
gosh!
again.
Was that Monument?
It was at Monument.
Oh, yeah, it
and 07 wipes him again.
And every single time Nasky and them kill them, Nasky gets up from his.
They need to glue this man to his chair.
Yeah, he gets up from
Or
his
needs a
chair and just
standing
starts
dash- a
like
standing dash
Fortnite
something.
dancing on like stage. I
The,
mean,
the worst part was, like, first of all, I don't disagree with what he did. I think this is funny as fuck, and I think there needs to be this kind of personality in there. But if I am if I am a teammate of a guy where we just finish a contest and he's getting up and doing the L Fortnite dance, and then he gets shot and
No,
killed while both of us
before-
are down,
Yeah.
and we're in a fucking grand final, I might get a little upset. Like it might bother me a little bit that like hey man,
Dude,
you really could have helped us out there, and maybe we could have gotten away.
I think specifically like either the first one or the second one, he's just like cheering on the whole crowd, like all that sort of stuff. And his teammate is downed. Like he's not getting rezzed.
Yeah.
He's like, and then I think it was Nags, and Nags like punches him. And he's like, dude, res me.
Yeah.
Well, and I will say though too, which I think is a good thing to mention about the teammates and everything. Amphi, who's a part of the team as well, said gonna work. Just talking about their performance and everything.
This is on Twitter.
Yes, it's on Twitter. It was about an hour ago. Basically, he just said, gonna work my ass off when we get back to London. Shout out Nasky. He generally put in one of the most impressive sets of performances I've ever seen, which we'll obviously, get into a little more of that here in a minute. But he said, never con us. We are fucking mentally insane.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not
that
sure if his
part's
teammates
true.
necessarily disagree with what he
not,
does.
Not disagree with like
but
all that, but like you.
I also understand where
Bro.
I see that could be, like, hey, how about we keep playing the game here?
I'm on a stage looking out at a crowd of people who came here to watch like us, and then you're doing dances and we need to get rezzed, like we're down and we just took a while to do this contest, and now a team comes in. I think it was Aurora who came in and finished it off. He was like laughing because I think he knew that like Nasky was just like dancing around or something like that. He was like, what is he doing? Because the character model wasn't moving. Like he was just like dancing around, like doing his thing.
Yeah, it's pretty true. I mean,
It was a bold move, Cotton.
brand wise, it's really good for him. Like,
Is it?
I would say so. Yeah. Like,
If you're an org and you're like, we're gonna pay this guy to try to win something, and then you're seeing him like get up and dance.
yeah,
like,
but okay.
Once
but
again, I
it's
don't
it's
disagree with what he
impressions
did.
though. Like,
it is impressions.
like you're getting impressions.
But how much
like
money
he's
do you
pl- he
make
was-
from impressions
Right,
versus
right,
winning
right.
something?
But I'm just saying, like he was playing to the crowd. I didn't mind it at all.
In the crowd, we loved it. Everybody was giving salutes. And once again, I don't have a problem with like Nasky himself, but I will say
We've had him
like,
on the pod.
We've had him on the pod.
Excuse me, y'all have had it them on the pod.
I think I was
When-
gone for that episode. I think I was on the road.
So whenever I was a part of
When
the
you
podcast,
were a part of the
that's
pod.
right. Yeah. there you go.
I have no problem with any of that. I just it is in like you got to think at some point like you got
You gotta lock
You gotta lock
in
in.
because I do think there is a portion of it. It's like, okay, if we win the con, I'm gonna do all this, but then it's like, okay, how do you get back into that space of like being locked in? Because they just want to contest where you're super locked. And then you're, I mean, I don't know.
I'm fine with it if all three teammates are up.
I don't know, man.
Like if the teammates are up, I'm cool with it. Like, yeah, that's cool. The teammates are up. But when you start, when they're down. Now, as somebody who was in the crowd, he was my favorite person to watch this whole weekend. Like his celebrations were the best. And I was talking about him yesterday. And where he had another moment that we talked about earlier where Dark Zero has a chance to win the entire tournament, and then he calls in his teammates from the sky. He's a rat. He's the lone rat that Dark Zero wanted to get rid of, calls his teammates in, and then he fucking clutches it out. Like I said yesterday, Nasky has the shit to him. He's got that clutch gene that like some guys just don't have. It's like the moment doesn't seem to phase him, and maybe that's why he does the thing he does when there's like the contest where he's just getting up and dancing, because the moment never sets into his mind. And maybe that's the type of guy you need to have. You know,
it's like unfazed in all aspects.
In all aspects.
Yeah,
it's the self-confidence, man.
It's the confidence, man. Yeah. Like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
and I respect it a lot. I just would say if I was a teammate and I'm downed and we're like trying to win and there's a contest, maybe I'm gonna be like, bro, what the fuck? Like, res me first and then let's dance.
Yeah, and I mean, and the only small thing I can think of, because obviously we can't hear their comms, so we don't know 100% sure. Maybe he already had heard footsteps. And he was like, I know I'm dead.
That could be it.
But
too.
like, because I just don't, obviously, I don't anything, anyone wants to put words in people's mouths or anything like that. But it is very troll to watch that and then just die without moving that, those last couple seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Like he kept DZ from winning a tournament. So.
The moment on the stream, if you go back at the live stream, Connor showed this to me. The second he wins that game, the camera pans over to Jayhawk and Jumba, and they're both just in the front of the line, just
absolutely
like
saluting.
Everybody else is jumping around, and they're just saluting. It's so funny. Like,
is that just like top 3 coldest like celebrations? Obviously behind the throw the nines up.
It's got to be. Yeah. It's got to be like because Jumba and Jayhawk did it so perfectly because they were so dead serious. Like they were just so serious when they did it. Like if you're laughing or like throwing it off your forehead, like you're doing the salute off your forehead. Like, no, you got to be just stone cold. You got to be like a gargoyle when you
I appreciated like a lot of the orgs in the Apex scene from what I saw on Twitter, like buying in on the salute thing. Like I saw so many people saluting.
Yeah.
But then also whenever E8 won the contest, I'm pretty sure the timing was out where E8 did they tweeted out like 30 salute emotes after they won the final or the contest when they actually were able to play the game.
Yeah, so so they win those first 3 games, and then E8 when the first game they actually get to play, the first time they win the fucking game, and I don't know which moment was louder. It was either 07 coming in and winning, or it was E8 winning their game after finally getting to play. Both times were extremely loud.
I think part of that was because they were popping off, but also like that was game 5, I believe, or game 6. No, it was game 5 or game 6 because Reject had gotten killed and everybody was like so stoked. And then Fnatic.
Game 6.
Was it game 6?
Yeah.
So, and then Fnatic, who I think was also maybe they were trying to get into match point, and then C9 was in a building. They got aped. Like there was a lot of different stuff, and like E8 came out on top, and everybody was like, oh gosh, like they just got trolled for 3 games straight. Now they're having a pop off game. Everybody was like, I don't know. It's kind of cool to see that. I think everybody became an E8 fan in that moment where they got to the last 5 teams and they saw E8 was doing really well and they were like, wait, E8 might. I heard an E8 chant. I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, well, and just so many other little things that happened that game. Because I mean, all the fighting that happened by the tree before they all had to rotate out of Jurassic for where it finished. There are so many teams that got killed. With
Alliance died, Rejects died.
I think it even started too with like I think TSM died in that spot.
TSM
Didn't they?
died,
Coming out
yep.
of zone.
And then Disguise died.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
There were so many death boxes back
there
there.
was actually.
But then and just leads into which I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a second where I thought there was gonna be another Mazer moment. He had died to
the storm.
gas, trying to loot.
Yeah.
Which thankfully the other two teams were on the other side of the Jurassic fence line to where they couldn't do anything about it. But just seeing that happen, I was like, okay, well, let's see if they reset and get back to it.
I looked over because Clara was to our right.
Correct.
When he died to ring, I looked over and somebody like tapped her on the shoulder. I couldn't read the words, but I'm pretty sure it was along the lines of like Mazer moment, and she just like started laughing, and he obviously got reset, and everything was fine. But I looked over and I like saw her like laughing at it.
I'm sure he had a flash before his eyes, like, dude, not again.
Again. Yeah.
Like, dude, man,
please not today.
Like, not right now.
And then before that 33 really got kicked off, was it someone from Aurora, I believe, Styx, Zach, or Shuby? I can't remember which one. Whoever was playing Horizon.
Beautiful play.
Yeah, Styx.
It was
has to be Zap, right?
It might have been Zach. No, I don't think it was.
Because Shuby plays the caustic.
I think it was
Shuby.
Zap.
Well, no, because what was crazy.
Yeah, I said Zap.
Yeah, I thought you said Zach.
Because what was crazy when you say about the play was that Shuby's awareness to conduit Q him,
which was
get
fine.
his shields back, and then he get Horizons up and out of the situation.
Doesn't get them in trouble.
So he doesn't get them in trouble too. Yeah. And then just the overall awareness then in that situation was insane.
Fast. Like it was so quick that they decided to do that.
I will say, like, sorry, this is me being just maybe it's like weird thinking, but like I know that that's like a very instinctual play for all those guys.
Yeah.
Like if you're in that, okay, I got stuck. I know I need to be away from my teammates. Like it's not even like a second thought what they did, which is
100%.
like because, I mean, they've been in that scenario or they've done the scenario and like know how to capitalize on it. I do think I think that was the one chance. If I think it wasn't who was the rat that was for Aurora that was like sitting right there? Was it 9 or what's his name?
It was because Impulse died second, and I believe Hardecki died first because they didn't have the lifeline to res. So whoever, I always forget the third. Was it Oirain? Is that right?
Yeah, OJ Rain. Rain.
He was the last one left.
I think if he's gonna make a play, I think that would have been the only time to be able to do so. But again, they didn't get to capitalize on it. But you guys are exactly right. But I also think in that moment they knew, like, it was
for sure.
Like, it's more so on that's like a very common knowledge for them to be able to do that. But also, I guess from a spectator perspective, if they're not used to that, they would be like, wow, they did that so quickly. But for them, it's like
remember,
that's
like, I play with my buddy Brian, who, if he got stuck, would be giving me the biggest bear hug in the world because he just doesn't think to do that. So when I see a player like make a play like that quickly, I'm like, oh my God, that's so cool. He didn't run directly to his teammate after he got stuck and be like, hey, bro, I'm stuck, and then blow us both up.
Yeah, and I think too, it's in the 3v3. They've been struggling the whole time. Mentals easily could be shot. And like you said, to still have that professional awareness to make those little subtle plays
wholeheartedly, especially
makes a difference.
Like, besides Zach, I'm pretty sure Zap and Shub are both very young. Like,
yes,
I'm pretty sure like maybe 20 or below, 20 or younger. And I know that they don't have. I think this is Zap's first tournament or first LAN. I think
right.
Shub's played. I know Shub's played on LAN, but I don't know if it's been ALGS stuff. He's comfortable, I think, enough in experience to be able to do it, and obviously Zach has plenty of experience.
Yeah.
But to be able to, you have to in competitive games, whenever you actually have an opening to be able to like have a fat game, you have to capitalize on it, and like even like a small mistake can ruin that momentum, can ruin like honestly like a whole set. So what you guys are saying, all this stuff like. The reactionary timing, doing the correct thing, them being able to capitalize on those moments, even capitalizing on winning the 3v3. I know it starts from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it makes you think what would have happened if they actually win their cons. Like, even if they go 50-50 on their cons, like,
where were they at?
What does E8 look like, right? And
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's one of those like what if scenarios, but like that game by itself got the crowd so pumped, and I really wanted E8 to do well. They just couldn't get it going after that, which was kind of unfortunate.
The craziest part is E8 didn't even play in their first 3 games, and they still beat TSM in the standards in the rankings by 1 point.
Speed them while we're down, huh?
And they only they were only below 07 by 5.
Yeah.
They beat them 3 times in a row and only beat them by 5 points.
Yeah, they didn't get to play. That you have a 3-game head start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you only had. It's just crazy to me, like the
And
fact that
9 points at the minimum
Yeah.
based off of killing them.
exactly. So, moving on
Dude.
into some other teams.
Hold on, can I say one thing?
Okay.
It's so crazy because if you look at that last game, E8 was in God spot. Like E8 was in pretty much God spot, and then DZ was like, "No, we're fighting for God spot," which in their case, like it makes sense to because
Yeah.
if you win that, you're in a real. I mean, obviously we saw.
Yeah.
Reject, dude. Why did I just almost forget their name? We saw Reject end up thirding or fourth parting, that scenario, and they got it, and then they won, right?
Yeah.
So like ultimately, DZ made the right play, but I feel bad for E8 because dude, they were set up to have a fatty, and then they just
Yeah.
get griefed, and it's like, well, it's one of those. It's one of those of again the what ifs, but this E8 squad is going to continue to get better. Like if they keep putting in the work, I think they're going to be one of the better NA teams, and I'm very
Absolutely.
excited to watch them next split and see what they end up doing because
Yes.
the roster is pretty talented, and Zach is playing his best stuff. And I tweeted him I tweeted at him about this, but this is the best stuff that he's been doing for a really long time, like since the old days, like 2020, 2021, like early 2021.
Yeah.
Basically back to the C9 days. Like this is the best Zach and more refined Zach in his IGL skills right now than ever before. So very excited.
Absolutely.
Moving on to some of the other teams that were around the standings and had decent days, but just had weird things that kind of held them back. I look at C9, I look at DSG, I look at Legend, I look at LG. I can speak specifically to C9 and LG. Cloud9, they seemingly had a lot of the spots that they wanted to be in. They just couldn't close them out. Like there was a lot of times that they made it to the circle and they tried to get center zone, which is something that they like to do. And when they got there, they just couldn't close it out like you would have expected them to. And so that, obviously they did get to match point, which is great. They did get to match point. I think it was in the final game. They made it in there. Which is good for them. And if you look at the standings, you brought this up before we started recording. They're the 3rd best NA team. So
Yeah.
going into split 2, they will have like the what is it, C? They will like that 3rd group.
They'll be like
top.
number one
They'll be
seed
the number
for
1
that
seed
group.
Yeah.
for that
C.
group. So that's great for them. And from where they started at the beginning of the season to now, you'd be like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
But they made it. They were an unsigned team. Now they're on an org and they're making it top 3 NA teams in a LAN final. That's
Yeah.
crazy. It's a crazy jump.
Well, and I think again too, going back to the regional finals, they were struggling the first playthrough, and a lot of people were questioning if Destroyer 2009 doesn't happen, do they even qualify for LAN? So to go from that, deal with all that extra noise, and then be the 3rd best NA team that
Like, yeah,
everyone
we
argues
deserve
is
to
the
be
best
here.
region, which again, I think they've proven over time up until now they have been. It's extremely impressive, and especially for, like you said, and like we talked about a lot while the games were going on, they were finding a lot of good spots. And I think, again, it's just coming down to getting, because again, when Dark Steel gets those spots, TSM, obviously not this weekend, but before they capitalize with the kills and everything else. So, yeah, I mean, I just think it's, again, another roster that very excited to see where it goes, because then I think, again, Saucer, guys put in, like we talked about even yesterday, put in a ton of work to get to this point. Chaotic, I mean, again, I think Chaotic had double-digit kills in the final. And again, as we talk about Naughty, I mean, I think one of the guys that can get slept on a lot in the scene, but a guy that is about the grind and the work and being where he needs to be and giving 120%. I mean, there's a lot of fun things that I think are going to be coming out of this land for sure for that group.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of C9, and I'm going to be watching them more moving forward. The other team I can speak to is LG. I was keeping a close eye on them.
I was going to talk about them next.
They had a decent start, and it just felt like they hit like a speed bump, and they just couldn't get to that match point. It felt like rather than trying to, and I can't speak to if this is really what they were doing, but it just kind of felt like they were sputtering just to get to that 50-point plateau and then try and make things happen there. But they just couldn't get there. Every game it was like 1 or 2 points, or something, and they just couldn't get. They were 1 point off. They ended the day with 49.
It's crazy. I remember thinking they were about I think they were at 42 or something. And it took them like 3. They didn't even get to match point, but I think it took like 3 games for them to get 8 points. And I was like, dude, that's tough. But to be honest, from where they started this thing, if LG, if I'm an LG fan and
give them a bouquet,
I would be like, okay, we finished 9th at this land. That sounds like a miracle, considering where we were, what we were talking about on Thursday night,
dude. It just
well, just even
felt
after
like,
Friday night, even too.
Yeah,
being the 1 point in, all that kind of extra stuff.
Oh my god, it was so bad. It just kind of felt like rather than maybe looking towards like, hey, we need to focus on this game, it was more focused on, hey, we got to make sure we get these points. And I don't know if that's 100% correct. Obviously, Sweet can tell me I'm wrong in that, but it just kind of felt like they were trying to get those points to get there, which is understandable because you need to get to that plateau. But they had a good base of points to start, and they just couldn't get to the point. They couldn't get to the match point.
Yeah. I don't really have much else. I'm very interested to see if they end up making the roster change. If they don't, cool. If they don't, then I think that's cool too. I think the team has room to grow, obviously, but I'm interested to see what ends up happening with that crew.
You're down to your last $100, and I give you a choice. I say, you get this correct, I will give you all the wealth in the world. This is what you need to answer. Are they going to make a roster change or not with Slayer?
Are they making a roster change? Say that again. With Slayer?
With Slayer,
is Slayer going to be?
Is he going to?
So choose between yes, is he's getting replaced or not?
Yeah.
I think there is definitely a possibility that Sweet is going to shop around with the amount of good roller players that are on the free agency or are open to changing, change up their own roster. I think there's a lot of good roller players. I think Sweet's a big enough name. Obviously, LG is going to be an org. I think there's a chance. I would be maybe slightly surprised if they end up not at least shopping around or at least giving it a chance. That's not 100% sure. This is me just speculating, but I think with the amount of roller players that are available, I would be shocked if not. But I do think.
So you're betting your last $100?
I would say yes. I would say they're at least going to shop. That would be my answer. Then but the question is, what type of guy are you wanting to get? Obviously, Slayer's he's going to be playing more of an anchor role, late, some sort of controller or some sort of support role. He's not going to be the entry fragger. At least it didn't seem like that. He was playing Cat. He was playing Caustic. He's in that type of role, right? The controller role. So are you wanting to get he's pretty new to the scene. So are you wanting to get a vet guy? Or you want to get somebody that's been playing the game or at a comp level for a really long time? They may not be at their peak at the current moment, but maybe if they're on the right team in the right fit, maybe it'd be good. Or are you sticking with Slayer, which is also a good chance? I mean, this Slayer's not a bad not a bad player, right? So I don't know, but I do think they're going to shop around. So that's my answer. You guys can go ahead.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple points I'll make to kind of why they seem stagnant. I know, especially on World's Edge, outside of the one I think one zone, I think that pulled more towards them. We had those 2 overlook zones, which they land, again, opposite side of the map for those. So they might have just struggled to get the rotates over to those spots since they land over at Fissure.
Yeah, they land Fissure on World's Edge.
And
checkpoint on
correct.
Stormpoint.
But I think that could be a big part of why they maybe struggled there to kind of boost up the more points. But did want to give a shout out to Funk, finished top 10 in the finals lobby in kills.
Big bounce back.
Yeah, and I do want to give a shout out to Slayer because I think you can probably pick 1 or 2 people that have gotten the most flack coming into this LAN. He was probably potentially number 1.
I think
He
by
was
far
by
number
just
one.
on an individual
one,
level.
I would say.
And I think that considering how a lot of people could have reacted in that situation, I thought he handled it very well. You haven't seen the negativity on, the socials, trying to attack anybody. I think he's just done what he can given his situation. Because, I can't imagine, and I'm not even saying this as like a personality thing, just with Sweet's name, it's got to be extremely tough for a guy that, with his experience, or lack of experience, I should say, to play in that role and play on that team in these big situations. Again, he's not a bad, he's at that top level. He's going to be a player that if he wants to continue to build, his profile, he's going to have to get used to that. But it is a big situation to fill that spot, especially given, who Sweet's played with in the past with Nathan, which I'll be curious to see if Sweet's making a call to Nathan potentially.
No shot. Well, mainly because I don't think Nate's picking up. Not
Fair
that
enough.
he wouldn't have a conversation with him, but it's like I don't think Nate's heart's not in the game for playing comp.
Gotcha.
His words, not mine.
Yeah.
Type of situation. So it's not that. I think Nate. I think it was. I think he's moved on, and I think that's probably the correct play for him. But Nate could come back. Don't get me wrong. Like I think.
Yeah.
Nathan in the scene is good for the scene. That's not what I'm saying, but
Yeah.
I don't think that'll be it. But
That's fair.
it's weird. It is interesting to think about. Like I'm just spitballing, but I'm proud of Slayer considering all the things. This is his first big org that I believe in. Like first LAN. Like I don't know, dude. Like. Take it on the chin, keep going, do your thing, like I said.
Yeah.
But it's up to the team in the camp, and only they know probably like what they're wanting to do and how they're wanting to, and like that might just be, hey, let's talk about it after we get done with our vacations, and we don't have to talk for a while. I know organizations in COD have done that where, like after they're done with a big tournament or something, they won't talk for a bit. Not that they necessarily like because you're constantly talking to your teammates every single day. You're in game with them all the time. Like it's just a lot, right? You're around these people. Sometimes you just need time by yourself or time with family, time girlfriend, whatever, So
100%.
Anyway.
Okay. Anything else before we round this bad boy out? Any team you want to mention? Any player you want to mention? Any storyline that you thought of?
Clutch by Dez, I thought was really nice.
Designful, dude.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for DSG because once again they're so close. They're so close. And they really impressed me because I was talking a little bit in the Uber back here yesterday about how DSG feels to me like a boomer bust type team. And what
you call them a glass cannon.
A glass cannon. And they've done a very good job this season stabilizing themselves. Like early season, they were still that boomer bust type team. But you can look at like a lot of their performances after that. There's some bad days there, but it wasn't like so fucking horrendous that you're just like, what the hell are they even doing? Like they eliminated those, and you got to give Designful credit for that because a lot of times people would always say like, well, Designful's issue is he gets his attitude, and then he gets like if you have a bad game, he gets an attitude, then it's chalked. He can't really get back. There was not a whole lot of that this season, and I'm very impressed by DSG.
Yeah. It's, they've turned into a team that, they started down the Challenger circuit, or not even Challenger circuit. They started with the last chance qualifiers. Yeah. Not a lot of people, a lot of people giving Timmy flack for his past in comp, giving Design saying, is he done? Is he washed? People
very
grabbing on
similar
enemy.
to Zach.
Yeah. And I just think that going from where they were to where they are now, in the span of what's it been, not even, maybe a year, not even a year, it's incredible to see that growth. And again, we all knew the talent was there. Obviously, again, Timmy is one of the most cracked people in just any esport you can even think about. Design has the pedigree of, being one of the first rosters of controller players to absolutely frag out all the time. And Enemy's been to lands before, so there's the talent's there, and that's not a question. But to see how well they've meshed to where some people kind of saw it as a joke at first to, they're a serious contender every tournament they enter in.
And the crazy thing too is like we talk about how what team gets the most pop. You look at TSM, LG, obviously because of their names, bro. Third place is 100% DSG, and this is in 1 year.
You're talking about
crowd pop, yeah, like crowd pop,
yeah, crowd
But dude,
noise.
like everybody is rocking the DSG jersey. Connor's wearing it behind the fucking camera right now, and they might not even be fully rooting for the team, but it's so sick. The org itself has done a great job at promoting the players, making content pieces, having a solid roster, helping that roster get bigger. And I say Designful's done a really good job, but it's also, you got to give credit to Enemy and Timmy for like helping him along that way, because there was a lot of teams before that would just like not want to deal with it.
I think they're both. They're both still IGLing him and Timmy. Like they're still both making a lot of calls. Enemy just kind of filling the role. Enemy is similar to low key. Enemy is like very similar to Sykes. Like they play the same role.
Yeah.
Like Enemy's not going to be the guy that's like hard fragging. That's obviously up to Design and Timmy. Like they're going to be the ones trying to make plays. And then Enemy's just like there to fill in the gaps. Like he is the glue guy. It's the same thing with Sykes. It's like that type of anchor role of not having to be an entry. But it's crazy. They lost the fight to Reject at the end. And like, again, I saw Timmy say, yeah, we're one fight away from winning another land. So it's like, yeah, that's just kind of their MO right now. But that means like they're that close. And
I'm going to be honest, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Dude, their rap on that game, I thought was going to win them the game.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to. They had a lot of very good raps in this land too.
Their macro.
Their macro was really good.
Yeah, it was.
It was really good.
Which I think when they first got together was always going to be the question, because you have Design having that stigma of into and everything. Timmy, jeez, I can tell I'm tired. Timmy being that guy. It's Timma, yeah. Let's start that now. But no, Timmy, literally called, from Golden Guardians, what were they called, like the End Gods or like whatever that nickname was back then. But just to see where they are,
Griefing Gladiators is what they were. And I'll tell you what, they definitely were.
Yeah.
I was in those games. I was in those lobbies. That was not a joke.
But yeah, just to see where, those guys have come from that. And then again, just, with Enemy, just playing with two guys with that big of a profile, again, being able, I keep mentioning it. The kid was literally spinning in circles in his chair. Bro, the pants in the middle, he was wearing today. Yeah, and just the guy's just his own guy.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he comes in, he does a job. He really, that's a great way to put it. It just doesn't give a fuck. He just comes out, does his job. And I'm telling you, like, the number of times I just see like 30-30 knocks or Sentinel knocks that kid has.
Yeah.
Like, it's just those little points that they get from those knocks. It reminds me of what Reps does for TSM at their height.
They have so many cool moments too. Like just thinking back to all the DSG moments throughout this land, there was the one where Designful hit like 5 Sentinel shots in a row on Stormpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was group stage or bracket stage. Crowd was going absolutely fucking nuts. And like it was so cool to watch. And then when he celebrates, he hypes himself up in the corner. He's just like yelling at himself. His chain's just like flying around. He's fucking just flexing, just talking to himself. Enemy and Timmy are like hugging, and he's by himself angry in the corner. Like it's just like it's so funny. They're like Timmy's raising the crowd up, trying to get them going. Design's doing his thing, holding up the flag of his rant when they walk out. Like they bring the heat in, not only in the game but also in the moments surrounding it, which are just important as the game itself. to keep the sport growing.
Yeah, one just random thought. There is a lot of times I feel like when we see them like win or pop off, they also have their own 3 pop offs.
Yeah,
because you have
it's like
Design
3
flexing.
separate people.
Timmy goes back and either pumps up the crowd or is hugging Bronzy, and then Enemy's just sitting here like, I mean, what'd you expect?
Yeah,
that's us.
Enemy brings the meat. Dude, his pants are just.
Did you say he brings the meat?
He said
Memes.
brings the meat, and then said pants after that.
Goodness
I
gracious.
shouldn't have. Yeah,
Might have
you
to
know
edit
what?
that out.
I
It is very late,
I'll leave
guys.
that
You
in.
need to know that it's
I
tired. We're
meant the
tired.
memes. I meant the memes, not the meat.
I heard-
I don't know him well enough to
be able to confidently say any of that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm
that,
glad
but-
about that. That's okay.
So that was.
I have a few. I have a few more things, and then I'll be done, and then we can talk about
Implications moving
maybe.
forward.
Yeah, I mean, and even then,
Bro,
like,
my
I don't
voice
really
is
know.
so close to being
So
gone.
I'll say one thing. A little disappointed in TL.
Yeah.
Weird to see TL. This is unfortunate for them, but I'm starting to get a feeling like they don't do well in winners or in grand finals. And what I was actually seeing whenever we were able to watch them, because we did actually get to watch them a little bit on the main broad, is they actually were losing their fights, which is weird to say considering they were considered one of the best fighting teams in North America. But I
Yeah.
think they are slowly losing that title, which I think is weird. I would have to talk to them to, again, I'll probably have to do some VOD review to figure out, okay, what exactly is wrong. I think they had some favorable zones, and I don't think that they actually played them correctly. Like I said, like the first game is a perfect example. That being said, I don't know where they land, but I'm pretty sure they were landing coastal. If I'm wrong, then I will eat crow for sure. But if they were landing there, then I don't see how they weren't playing Humvee side where Dark Zero ended up playing, unless because that's their spot. That's what I literally call it.
Yeah.
Like that is Liquid or old LG's spot. So unless they didn't have a console in which I would be like, that sucks really bad because they would have probably won that game. They played that zone so many times. But like stuff like that, maybe it is their macro. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just unlucky you didn't get ring console. I again don't know, but it is weird to see them not do well. And I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure they haven't done super well in grand finals in LAN so far.
I think they've had some like a top 10 or so, but yeah, with a team with the pedigree of their team fighting, you would expect it to be a little more consistent, I think.
Right.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and especially in a meta where it seems like there's a lot of fight, like the Bang Blood is just like very aggressive, right?
Yes.
So weird to not see them do super well. SSG didn't do well. They didn't win. I don't think they didn't win a game the whole tournament. SSG.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me, no?
They were one of those teams where every time we were in that 12 to 8 team left range, it seemed like they were always like the 8th team. Like they would just die like 8th or something like that.
Yeah, they were one of those things where they were dying a lot in like 8th or 8th through 12th.
It seemed like they were always kind of like they would be in that rotate where there's like 4 or 5 squads bunched up in the same side of the zone, and they would all have to either evac or run in, and they would do a good job slaying out for the most part, but then they would just die because once again you're running in on the same side as everybody else, and the teams on the other side of the zone are just watching you run in.
Yeah, and I also think too there at the end they were a part. Right? Were they a part of the top side of the zone where Reject ended up winning? I think they were a part of some of those fights up
They
there.
were part
correct?
of they were part of the fight that happened in that little plaza area.
Yeah.
That definitely they were in that climatizer because they land there. They
Yes.
land there. Yeah.
Yes.
They land there. And so
And to not see them win that zone
And to-
is weird.
and I think again everybody saw that was God spot, and what happens is people know it's God spot. If there's a fight there, a lot of teams look to third party so they can be the one that God spot.
Yeah.
But that just got like 5th partied or 4th
Yes.
partied. I have to go back and watch. But yeah, kind of weird to see for SSG. Big question, real question, does Wyatt still believe in phony?
I do.
Okay, that's
I
all
do.
I needed to know. And then one more, and then I think we could maybe take some questions from chat, maybe. and then we end it. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
in on
you
that?
wanted to go to bed.
I originally wanted to, and then I was like, wait, chat's kind of popping, so we can answer
got
some
into a flow
questions.
state.
So, my last point that I would like to make, Koifel's going to get picked up by somebody really good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that guy's pretty. Koifel's pretty good at the game.
Yep.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like I definitely wouldn't mind seeing him and oh my gosh, now I'm really getting tired. Nocturnal and please help me out. I'm spacing on
Sorry,
the third
again?
person.
Fun.
Thank you.
Fun FPS.
It would be great to see them run it back because I think with those three in Hansik, that roster could easily figure things out with a full split of not a bunch of things changing, things outside of the game happening. But it really just did seem like with him filling in for Legends, he just felt a lot more like the Koifel we knew. And it felt like it just flowed a lot better with that team. And again, I do think if they did stick around, that Nocturnal being as pedigreed as he is, Hansik being the guy that he is, they would figure that stuff out. But man, was that fun to watch with that roster, especially today.
I wish
today
he
they
could-
fragged out today.
I wish he could just stay on that roster. Like, I
Yeah.
wish he could just stay with Strafing Flame.
He's going to move.
I
Get ready
know.
to move.
I wish.
Yeah.
Um,
And I believe shout out to him as well, obviously for how well he played all weekend, but was tied for second in kills in the finals lobby today. So
Oh yeah,
Not surprised, really.
that's metal.
no, not
Right?
at all.
That's so metal. The reason XSET was even close to making a land was his KP.
Yeah.
His KP, like I think there was a day. he
Sure,
had,
but
like,
how many times whenever he went to force KP did that cause them to die?
Yeah.
I mean, they missed. They were 11th, but like I don't know if Nocturnal was putting him in the best spot either.
No, right. No, there's a lot. They could do a case study on
There was-
XSET this split.
There
But
was a day in that playoff where they're on Storm Point at Cascade Falls, and he gets like 2 kills as a solo. I'm like, this dude's insane. Like he has
Yeah.
no business doing this.
Yeah.
I think there was only like 4 squads left.
And he's still 17, dude. That's
I
the craziest
know.
part about it. Is like I'm sitting here like thinking what I was doing in high school at 17. It was not. I mean, I don't know. It's insane how good.
he'll
kid
find
is.
a team, but I just want him.
You just hope it's in the right situation.
Correct. He just needs to find a team and have a team that's like, that is playing around him more, like allowing him to be more of a playmaker, and then playing around him than like having structure. Like he is much better in a less structure team than a more structured team which in turn can mean that those teams can play bad too. Like
Yeah.
like if you don't have as much structure, that just means your consistency will more than likely be very iffy.
Yeah.
If he's in a team like that. But what Legends I almost just said Strafing Flame. But but what Legends do correctly and do already on their team, and why I think Koi was a perfect pickup was, we've already talked about this, but Easy Flash Kid is basically the same person.
Yeah.
Like so aggro, starts all of their fights, does a ton of damage, and allows them to follow up. It's literally Koi was actually the same person. So it's not like they really had to change much about their gameplay, which
Yeah.
is honestly a benefit whenever you have a sub, is having somebody that plays exactly like the person that ended up needing the sub. So
And I think it was brilliant too from Strafing Flame, seeing them dealing with the situation they were, losing their, not having their third 4 visa issues, which again, obviously in the future, hopefully that stuff gets worked out because you want to see all these rosters at full speed, but just basically not making it too complicated and say, hey, come be you, go be Koifel.
which is
You know?
perfect. Yeah, I
And
agree with
it's
that.
just,
That's a good point.
Just come out, do your thing. I'll make sure that we get in the right spot eventually, but I want you to be you and just be because I mean, watching during scrims, I mean, the amount of montage videos he could have put together for just his scrims was insane.
Yeah.
So like you hoped it carried over, and it was awesome to see it carry over to this. And again, just huge shout out to Legends as a whole for dealing with that situation.
Tight. Okay. You ready to hit some questions? And we can
do it.
yeah. Play of the weekend.
Play of the weekend. What? Let me see that. Show that to me again. Play of the week. Okay.
Yeah, play of the weekend.
I didn't read it. I thought you said it.
No.
Play of the weekend.
I mean, I can go first for mine.
Go ahead.
I mean, I know it's just probably extremely reactionary, but that's just what I'm going with. I mean, how is it not nasty getting them back? And then, I don't know, it may not count as a play necessarily, but like that's just that whole sequence.
Wait,
of
what did you say?
Nasty calling his teammates back in.
getting the call back in
Oh,
07
gotcha.
winning,
Yeah,
and
like
just winning
game
that game.
6 or game 7.
Yeah, I know it's probably more than just a play, but like, and maybe I can think of a better example, but you know, hey, it's my opinion, but that was, I mean, that was just insane to see that 07 ended up winning that game. I mean, that's just, yeah, it still blows my mind to even think about it.
My play of the weekend was the almost 1v3 from Effect.
Dude, okay,
Yeah,
continue.
that was.
That's okay.
I mean,
how
it's
did I
not
not
even a
remember
play.
that?
It's not even a play, but like it was so sick
Yeah.
that it could have been a play.
Yeah.
It was so close.
I mean, I guess I'll say Dez's clutch at the end, but honestly, I don't know what Dez is doing, bro. Like, so for those that don't know, is the clutch that in the finals with that design, he 1v2'd. Oh gosh, I don't know. Was it reject?
It was reject.
It
in
was
that game,
reject.
correct.
Yeah? Okay. Anyway, he absolutely whipped out a Sentinel after he like does like a half a
Took a
havoc
random
spray,
shot.
and he was like, honestly, I know in his brain he was like, dude, I'm going for a montage. Like, you have to make a montage with this play, and then missed the no scope, and then I was like, oh gosh, this is bad. He was laughing, by the way. If you go back and watch it, like he is smiling and laughing while that is happening. And like, I obviously confidence, but he knew that he was going to win. So that would be my play of the day or play of the weekend for that.
I guess I'll give you more of a play just to, you know, actually maybe not give you a 10-minute sequence as a play. In that one final zone, I believe it was LG and Legends, and where I forgot who hit the Kraber shot on Sweet.
Oh,
but
Player K?
Yes, but
Player
the fact
K,
that
yeah,
I'm
that
telling you, and I'll go to my grave saying this, they were only peaking that as far as they were LG, is because they got Sentinel shots at him at first, and then he goes to the box.
Oh yeah, because he missed like four Sentinel
like
shots.
3 or 4 Sentinel shots, goes to the box. Oh, hey, look what I found. It's a Kraber. Pulls out, first shot, absolutely just decimates Sweet, which was no fault to him because where do you expect the Kraber to come from?
yeah, because if they're shooting Sentinel shots, you're like, okay, that's their sniper. You're not
Yeah.
assuming that he's gonna fucking pull out a better sniper.
Yeah.
He got absolutely rocked. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Just insane.
Next question.
Most surprised legend comp.
Besides the troll one that we saw, what was it?
Yeah, we can't use the troll one.
Can't use the
Yeah.
troll
We
one.
can't use the troll one.
It really wasn't like super surprising. The only things that were, I mean, one of the major talking points was really just Lifeline.
Yeah.
Kind of showcasing the ulti and the upgrades for her abilities to allow you to basically have a red
Yeah.
going into mid game, or like mid to late game, which is pretty good for teams that may not find themselves always in the most aggressive spots. I also saw a lot of usage of the ultimate into like open areas that allowed for cover, like a
Yes.
makeshift cover. I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
Create more space into.
I'm trying to think. The only other like really spicy picks that I saw were like a Watson. I mean, Watson
Yeah.
was the only other like spicy legend really.
Mine would be complexity with the
Oh.
Rampart.
Good comms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't really surprising because I know they would cook something up. I guess I just was surprised that a Rampart was being played.
I saw someone say Path too. And I was like,
Oh yeah, we did get a few Pathfinders. I mean, I think that obviously everyone's been hoping and praying for Pathfinder to be back in a comp of some sort. Back to the OG days. So yeah, that was definitely cool to see some people getting in there with some Pathfinder grapples and all that. But yeah, I think my big thing was just seeing the viability of Watson, being on the winning team and being that guy. So
Yeah. Next one. Do you think that Hal could replace Lou on complexity? No, I don't think Hal's good enough. Yeah, I think Lou is overall better for complexity than Imperial fucking Hal.
Yeah, I don't really understand the question. But
It was definitely directed towards me. It was it was definitely a Wyatt question.
okay, cool.
That was a joke. But no, let's let Hal stay on TSM. We'll keep Lou over here on complexity. How about we just do that? I want Lou on my side. He has, by the way, sickest tattoo in Apex.
On his neck?
On the neck tat?
He's got tats everywhere, brother.
Bro, the neck tat though with the mustache long hair combo, fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I'm not saying no. I agree with you.
Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong.
And like Monsoon has tats too.
Monsoon does have tats. Also, Monsoon, when they did the video of like the emojis,
So funny.
best video. But here's my thing: they went to all the other people they were interviewing. Just leave the camera on Monsoon. Don't take the camera off him. He was the funniest and like most entertaining one throughout that. No disrespect to the other people. Monsoon is just a beautiful mind that should be studied
Protected.
and explored and protected. Yes,
And showcased at all
and showcased
possibilities.
at all possible times. You guys got another one? All good?
I mean, I'm good. If there's any more questions, maybe hit one more, and then I'm good to go.
Which one
Yeah.
do you got?
I don't know. I'm
You
waiting
read
for
this chat because I don't have chat in front of me. Find a juicy one. Find one that'll make me go, huh?
Excuse me. I don't know.
Find
There-
one that'll make me go, by golly gosh, I'm.
Who do you
Not
think
sure.
should not have made it to today?
Who do you think should not have made it to today? Oh, that's actually a good one.
I'm gonna make a very obvious answer here and say LG
Yeah.
should not have made it here. Theoretically,
Theoretically, yes.
yeah,
You're correct.
But like more of like a really just like a surprising pick. 2R1C kind of. Now I didn't watch that much of Mia, so I can't really say how surprising that is, but I feel like it's surprising with that name, no?
I'm going to say Alliance, and this is going to sound fucked up, but like they barely made it in, and then they come in and just get like a 13th. You know?
Yeah.
Not really adding too much to it. I guess I'd just say Alliance. I mean, obviously, I could say the teams that are at the bottom, but like, it is frustrating that like Alliance, you know, they have a great group stage, then they go to bracket, don't do well, barely make it in. Who did they force out? Wasn't there a team like right on the outside looking in that they forced out? Let me look right here real quick.
I don't know necessarily what you're talking about. Is this a new era of MNK? I think that's a good question, actually. I think this more so just like showcases the value and like opens.
Crazy Raccoons.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They were the team by 2 points that they knocked out Crazy Raccoons.
Right.
in.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That is right.
So I guess that was my answer was Alliance. I felt like Crazy Raccoons probably could have done something.
Yeah.
I don't, oh, by the way, yeah. Did you have anything on?
Oh,
like,
I was
who
just say.
else?
I mean, I think, and it was cool to see them do well, but I think people probably wouldn't have said Omid or Serenity. I think coming
Yeah,
into the tournament,
Probably.
But I think two very solid stories. You know, teams finishing 10th and 11th in the finals bracket here. But yeah, I mean, I would say at best they were probably on most maybe good quals for people,
Yeah.
but not too many necessarily putting them in a guaranteed finals like some other teams. But again, huge shout outs to them for especially Serenity obviously had a really good run, being 8 starting points coming to the finals and couldn't put it together today. But I mean,
I thought
still,
they were cooking there for a second there too.
yeah, but I mean, I say that, and they still got up to 46 points here towards the end. So we're in an okay position. But again, I think just the quality ended up showing out towards the later games. And they kind of got straggled behind a little bit. And again, I think they were kind of in that situation where you mentioned that 8th to 12 teams where
Consistently,
where they just get stuck in that hard rotate. Because I mean, just even remember the one game that 3v3 actually in the first game, or 3v3 in that first game, where I mean, was there 8-9 teams trying to make it out of oh my God, why are we trying to bring this up? Cedo Station? Or
Yeah,
no?
Cedo.
Yeah,
Cedo
trying to make it
Station.
out of that and just the absolute chaos. I mean, I know we've seen that with 4 or 5 squads, but man, that had to be at least 8 or 9 trying to make it out of there because it pulled up to the hill instead of staying in at the POI. But again, I think just going back to my actual point and not rambling anymore. Yeah, I just think that they got stuck in that 8 to 12. But huge shout out to both, again, Serenity and Omit for, I think, really putting in a good name for themselves.
Yeah, that's fair.
That question you had.
So
with the
that
MNK.
like, is this a new era of M&K? We can
No.
go. You don't think so? What about
No.
you?
I mean, I think there's definitely an argument because so much has been said about you got to have a controller fragger, you got to have 2 controller fraggers, and just seeing a 3 M&K squad end up winning it, and again showcasing very well for the whole weekend. I'm not gonna say it's necessarily a new era, but I think it definitely opens some eyes that it's not just all about a controller. Like it's M&K is still very viable. I still don't think it's going to take over necessarily as of right now, but it also wouldn't shock me that this conversation opens back up. But I also don't want to get in the middle of that because I don't want to get yelled at. So
What it makes me think of is this is like the same question people were asking with 100 Thieves when they won, because they were a 3-man roller or a 3-man M&K. People were like, "Oh, M&K's back," all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure much changes. I do think maybe the mental side of people that are like not with it, as in like people that were just thinking like M&K are like no longer needed, which in my head, dude, M&K will never be, in my opinion, like it'll never be phased out because the skill ceiling for M&K is so much higher than a controller player will ever be. If you watch any bit of gameplay today, over the weekend, whatever it was, the amount of movement stuff that you can do with M&K
I was just
is
thinking about that.
absolutely ridiculous.
how many times do you hear people say "Holy shit" when someone taps strafed around
Dude.
a corner to avoid it,
And
an
it's
arc
like-
star or something?
I'm not doing that as a controller player. Like, are you serious? Like, none of the controller players are doing that, right? So
Well-
it's like, it's not just that. You can get away with a lot more, easier to snipe. You're just, now, your roles as M&K players are kind of more now defined, but that's
Yeah.
been the same for about a year now as to
Yeah.
what an M&K player's role have kind of pigeonholed. People have been pigeonholing, not necessarily me, but people have been pigeonholing M&K players into. So what this showcases to me is like, hey, let's not completely pigeonhole all these type of M&K types of roles for types of roles, but also these guys are super elite at what they're doing. So it's not just like they're all super mechanically gifted too, right? So there's not that many. I'm going to end that there. I'm just going to end that conversation there because I could just keep going. But
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on that. Okay, we're going to do a real quick rundown. Like Thunder round. Thunder round.
Lightning round.
Quick fire. Yeah.
Yeah. Does TSM drop Lava Siphon? I'm not sure if y'all like. I don't think so. I don't see why they would drop Lava Siphon for another POI, unless they knew that zones were going to consistently land trials. Then they would like.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going for trials actually.
No, I would let's say there's some unless there's some crazy change up with the new season. I don't think they'll change.
We might not even have POIs anymore. We might have a fucking something else.
With Newcastle buffing coming, do you think you guys are expecting any type of changes?
Yes.
Cool.
I think so.
Cool. Good. Let's see. I think.
I got one real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Obviously we got to see how she plays out, but does alter into the meta?
Oh, that was what I was gonna ask. Yep.
I only got to saw a little bit of gameplay from Noko, who was insane on the solos, by the way.
Shout out to Noko. 1, for getting a picture with me. Appreciate it. But 2,
Winning the
absolutely
solo
fragging
tournament.
out today.
Dude, he was crazy.
But I mean, we all knew that he was probably gonna be the sweatiest one.
Him or Fade.
That man,
And girl, too.
yeah,
girl was nuts.
girl
Dude,
was
it was
nuts.
very impressive.
If
Girl was
anybody,
And Sabs. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of people showing out today.
yeah, if anybody, because I know there's a decent crowd that says stuff about girl sometimes. Y'all better respect her name
Bro,
because she
girl's
is
the-
absolutely nasty at the game.
Girl's the best, dude.
But yeah, like you said,
Former member of
Sabs,
this
so many
former
other female
interviewee.
creators there as well were awesome to see the entire time. So shout out to the
So
female
do you
creators.
think do you think Alter makes a splash in the comp?
If you want lightning round, I'm just gonna say no.
I'm gonna say yes.
Cool. I'm gonna hold off on my opinion.
Okay, because you should.
I should.
My quick reason is that if caustic sticks into the meta and you need someone to breach a caustic, potentially could be Alter.
My quick reason is that I think the attack is going to be really good, but I wonder about if the ultimate will be what they need.
like
that
your
makes sense.
teammate, like what the team would need.
Yeah,
You're saying?
yeah, because like there's
If it functionally
ultimates-
works in comp,
If
kinda
it
thing.
functionally works better in comp, yeah, that's really because the tactical obviously is great.
Right.
That part is awesome. I just wonder about the ult, and I could be proven wrong. And if I am, I'm happy for it because I'd like to see other legends in there. I don't want Caustic in there ever again.
Please, for the love of God,
I
nerf caustic. Sorry,
Gotcha.
my own opinion.
All right. Well, I
All
feel
right.
pretty. I feel pretty good about that.
You guys good?
I feel great. I'm really
I feel
glad that I
great.
got to do this over the weekend.
Dude, this was awesome, and I appreciate you hopping on. And I wish we could keep it going forever. I know you got your own stuff you got going on, but anytime you ever want to hop back on as a special guest, feel free to do so because you're my homie. You're my homie. You're the one who got me into this whole thing.
Yeah, and now look at him. He's got a C9 jersey on. He bought a Riddle.
Throw your fucking
he
nines
brought
up.
a.
Nines up.
Throw your
He
fucking
bought.
nines.
He bought a Riddle shirt. Like
I stopped Madness, and
he got a Furia hat and an
got a Furia
SSG
hat
hat.
on.
Like, dude, this guy is.
I ran down Madness in the hallway. I said, hop on the show. Ran down Daltouche, said, hop on again. I was running people down left and right. Went over to Keon. I looked like Kevin Hart. He looked like Shaq.
Great pick.
The
Great
height
picture on
difference
Twitter for those that
was-
need to go see that.
You need to see the height difference on that picture. The first thing Daltouche said to me was like, hey, brother, I hate to break this to you, but you sound a lot taller than you look. I was laughing so hard. He said I had a handsome, tall face, though. So shout out Daltouche. Hopefully we get him back on soon. But I was running down everybody to get some of these newer pro players that we haven't had on here. And sometimes I'm like, man, I'm so thankful that Finn was the one who showed me this. So I really appreciate it, and it was awesome to finally meet you in person. And you know how it's sometimes weird? You don't know how it's going to be when you meet someone online, and you don't know how it's going to be when you like actually hang out with them. It was just seamless. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, this is weird.
I know.
the second Finn hopped in the car, he's just talking, telling me everything. It was instantly just like perfect. So it was great to do that. And Donnie, you blew me away with like your Apex knowledge, your mind, and also how easy it is to hang out with you and Connor. Both of you guys are really great. So it's been a great weekend. The
Yeah.
boys took a sick ass pic.
Yes.
We did.
Leaving the
We
land.
could
you
tweet
want to
that.
grab it?
Do you want to tweet it?
Connor, grab it.
We should
for me.
definitely tweet
We'll
it
tweet
later.
it too. I'm gonna just show the camera real quick. Tell me if this looks good on the. Look at the boys. Look
The
at
boys.
The boys. Beautiful pic. Beautiful pic. It was
Dude,
great.
I look like my eyes aren't even open in that. I mean, I guess.
I mean, they may not have been considering how
Yeah.
absolutely tired we are.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
we are dead. But it's been fantastic. It's been a great weekend, and I'm super happy to get back home and get some interviews going again, and get back to the normal swing of things. But I want to do this all over again. I want another LAN. I want to hit this shit
Yeah.
up again. It's awesome.
Yeah, and just quick things I wanted to say. Appreciate you guys. It's been absolutely fantastic being a part of this.
Yes, sir.
But then also shout out to all the players.
Oh, dude.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing 4 days you guys put together.
Best lane.
Shout out
Best
to everybody working the LAN. I mean, just like Galen Center was fantastic. Everybody that set up everything. It was an amazing atmosphere. And then to shout out to the casters and analysts. I mean,
Hell yeah.
it's a very hard group, I think, to say that anybody's better than.
No,
I mean,
yeah.
the ability for the casters, with the game and the energy they always bring, to the talent desk and the knowledge that they drop and just the amazing way that they capture your attention. Just appreciate the effort they put into making the Apex scene what it is.
Hell yeah. I got to see my man Dia. My only sad thing is I didn't get to see Spider Tiff, and she's been on the show like 3 times, and I wanted to make sure I got a picture with Spider Tiff. I didn't get to see her. So Tiff, if you're listening, shout out. Next time I go to LAN, we got to get a pic because you're a legend, and I appreciate you hopping on the show. The casters are so great, dude. I want to get the entire panel on at some point.
Yeah.
You know, just have like, not at the same time, but just make sure I get everybody on there because they do such a good job, and every season it's gotten better and better and better. Like the quality of the stream as well, the broadcast.
Yeah,
like coming from broadcast, like that's what my degree was in. Like watching them just get better and better.
Yes.
Like it's so good now. Like the product is so fucking good. Like, and I'm not just saying that just to say it, because like anybody who knows me knows I'll be critical when I need to be. There's no reason to be critical right now. Like the broadcast is awesome.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely times to be critical, you know, with EA Respawn sometimes, but these events that have been put together, it's, I mean, to obviously what's there at the LAN, to all the B streams and the different languages to access different audiences.
They're all sitting around the concourse doing their streams.
Yeah.
Like so cool. You can do
and
it's awesome.
and then just like I said, just shout out to everybody, you know, all the Apex creators and stuff, the scene that came out and supported all the pro players and things like that, and just again just makes the event what it is. It was, I mean, better than I could have ever expected. So.
Hell yeah. Well, we also want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening and watching the live streams as well as listening on audio this entire week. Next week, I don't know if I'm going to be taking a week off. I might need to after.
Might need to for your voice.
I might need to for my voice. It is so close to being dead. But I will keep you guys updated on Twitter as well as like sending out some pictures and stuff like that. Hopefully, we've given you guys enough content throughout the week. But I'll keep you guys updated for if we're going to do another show this week or if we wait until next week to get everything settled. So check out Twitter for that to make sure and see what we're going to do. But as for right now, ladies and gents, we're going to sound off and round this bad boy out for LAN Year 4 Split 1. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we'll catch you guys soon.
See ya.
See you later.
Bye.